Hey beautiful people, welcome to Sickle and Shine. I'm marieckofi and welcome back to my channel, everybody. Well, for those who've been here before, thank you and welcome again. For those who've not been here before, it's your first time, please make yourself comfortable. You see, on this space we talk about everything sickle cell, so grab a seat and make yourself comfortable while I do the same. So as I promised in my last video, I will be talking about traveling to the UK from Cameroon. So as mentioned before, even though I had some really poor grades in GCE advanced level, I managed to get admission into a college in London, and this was a very exciting moment for me and my family. So though very exciting, I was sad. I was a bit sad. I know it's an exciting thing when you get that visa and you have to travel to Europe and all that, you know. It was quite an enjoyable moment for some time, but you know, after a very short while I got really sad about the fact that I will be leaving my family. I wasn't sure how long I was going to stay in the UK. And very importantly, I was quite sad with the fact that I was leaving my brother behind, my brother Moise. You see, my brother and I were very special. Moise and I were born with sickle cell disease, and both of us understood each other's challenges. He understood me and I understood him. We would talk for hours, you know, we would talk about anything, and we were this close. And the fact that I was leaving him behind was very sad. You know, most of the time we were always in hospital together, and you know, we'd always, you know, spend time together, me and him, and I was quite sad with the fact that I was leaving him behind. So nonetheless, I had to travel. So I got to London, to the UK. Well, prior to that, of course, I had to board the flight to London. So I took the Swiss airline, and the journey was a bit of a mixture. You know, I had never flown a plane, on a plane before, and it was quite an anxious moment for me. You know, my family all came to the airport to see me off, and you know, it was quite exciting, and it was very sad to say goodbye and things like that. Yes, but when it was time for me to board the plane, I got on, took my seat and waiting for the moment. So you see, I've never flown a plane before, and I was quite anxious what was going to happen. So as soon as the plane took off, you know, I'm sure most people have felt this before, but I never had such experience before. You know, as soon as the plane took off, I became so sick. You know, I mean, I was so embarrassed by the situation that, you know, I didn't even know what to do. I was just throwing up. You know, I normally suffered from travel sickness, but this was normally when traveling on the road by car and things like that. So the flight attendants, you know, the air hostesses, you know, got so worried. They came and took care of me. I went into the bathroom and cleaned myself up, and I got back to my seat. I couldn't eat anything. I was quite, you know, feeling quite nauseous, and you know, I just sipped lots of water, and it was a very, very strange experience. I just wanted to get to my destination. So I arrived London, and I was warmly welcomed by my friends, and a friend of mine picked me up from the airport and took me home. And as exciting as it was, I was really confused because, you know, I'd never been to London before, and everything was just very strange. You know, I was so cold. You know, it was May, and everyone was telling me how exciting the summer weather is. You know, how lovely the weather was, and I think it was about 18 or 19 degrees, and everyone was in their vest, but I was freezing cold. So when we got home, I told my friend that, you know, I need some more layers, and they had to get me lots and lots of jackets and, you know, lots of things to keep me warm. But I just didn't get warm. You know, it was so funny. But yeah, that's, you know, my first experience with the British weather. So after a few months in the UK, a friend of mine invited me over to hers, and this is a friend that I'd known back home, and had told her that I was coming to the UK. So she directed me how to get to hers, and I got there, and there were other friends there. It was a lovely day. The sun was out, but I was still cold. There was loads of food. Everyone was having a good time, nice music, and we were just chilling and catching up, And all of a sudden, after about 20 minutes that I'd arrived at my friend's house, I felt this sharp pain on my waist. It was so bad that I unconsciously screamed out so loud. I mean, it was so embarrassing, but I just couldn't help it. The pain was so sharp. I wasn't sure what was happening, and normally, sometimes I know when I'm about to have a crisis. I have this funny taste in my mouth, but sometimes I don't. It just comes like that. But I wasn't sure if this was a crisis, because this was a bit of a strange one. So that pain was just getting worse, and within a couple of minutes, the pain radiated everywhere. My hands, my legs, my chest, every part of my body was in agony. And it was so embarrassing, because I had not told some of my friends that, I had sickle cell, so it was a bit of an embarrassing moment for me. But I was in so much pain, and, I just had to tell them that, you see, I have sickle cell, and I think I'm having a sickle cell crisis. So I wasn't sure what to do. Normally, back home, when I fall sick, my family will arrange or get a car or a taxi or something like that for them to take me to the hospital. But this is what I was expecting, for someone to arrange for a car or something to take me to the hospital. I just kept saying, I want to go to the hospital. I want to go to the hospital. I was feeling so sick, and then, I started vomiting, and I was quite worried. So one of the guests that was at my friend's house said they're going to call an ambulance, and I started panicking. You see, I started panicking just hearing ambulance. You see, where I came from in Cameroon, they only use ambulance to carry dead people from hospital to funeral homes and things like that. So I wasn't used to being taken into an ambulance, and I was scared that, no, I don't want to get into an ambulance where they carry dead people. And everyone started laughing that, no, we're going to get you to the hospital. So because I was in so much pain, I just, thought, okay, yeah, I just want to get to the hospital. So within a few minutes, luckily, the ambulance came, and the paramedics came to me and said, what's happening? I just, explained to them that I was in a sickle cell crisis. I was having a sickle cell crisis. I wasn't sure what they were going to do. So they gave me something magical, and oh my goodness, it took away the pain so instantly that I'd never had anything like this in my entire life. And I could give everything to this paramedic, because the pain went instantly, at that time. So it was gas and air. I'd never had gas and air before, So there was I, just inhaling, and they said, oh, take it easy, miss, take it easy, you don't want to have too much of it. And within a few minutes, I started throwing up, because I had inhaled so much. I mean, the gas and air was so good that I didn't want to stop. So I cleaned up, and we got into the ambulance on a wheelchair, and they took my observation, and everything was just, all over the place. So we got to a hospital, and boy, oh boy, my experience of getting into a hospital in the UK was overwhelming. I mean, just getting inside the entrance of the main hospital was just, I was speechless. It was so clean, spectacularly clean. And I'm sorry, I wasn't used to this. I always go to my local hospital in Cameroon, and, you just get what you get, So this was very clean, and everyone was so kind, Oh, everything is going to be okay. And, the doctors are going to see you soon. And before you know it, you're going to feel better. Just take it easy, take some deep breaths. I was in so much pain, but just the environment itself made me feel better. It was so clean that I couldn't believe I was in a hospital. They took me into an emergency ward. The nurses came and did their things, and I was administered morphine for the first time. I had no idea what morphine was. I never had it before. And instantly the pain went, and before I knew it, I was sleeping. I was woken up a few hours later when the doctor came to see me, and he said he'd come before, but I was in such a deep sleep that he didn't want to wake me up. So I met the doctor and I told him about, myself. I had just come from Cameroon, and, this is the situation. And that was when I had not even been registered with the GP yet. And the doctor just talked me through everything, how, sickle cell is being managed here. And boy, it was such a relief. I knew that I was told, not that I knew, I was told that I was going to have a consultant, a specialist sickle cell doctor that was going to be looking after me. At that point in time, I just wanted my brother to be here with me. I was so grateful. I was so grateful to have traveled and come to a place where I could have a sickle cell specialist. It was a blessing. Moving on, I got discharged, and I got home, got back to normal. I just explained to my friends, the situation, and this is what might be happening to me with sickle cell. I don't know why I keep doing this with my hands. Sorry. So yes, social life in the UK was quite good. I will hang out with my friends when I got the chance. The weather was getting warmer, and it was exciting. It was really exciting. And something that I found really strange was that the days were longer. It was 9 p.m. in the night and the sun was still out. I just couldn't believe that. It was just so exciting. It didn't take me very long to realize that I couldn't go out partying with my friends as often as I wanted to. I remember one day my friends invited me out to the nightclub. That was the first time I'd ever been to a nightclub. And we went to a nightclub and I wasn't sure what to do, We had fun, we were dancing, and obviously I don't drink alcohol, but I wasn't drinking as much as water as I should. So we finished from the nightclub, came back home, and that very night, oh boy, I went into a crisis. I was in so much pain. My legs, I just couldn't stand, my legs were so painful. And I must have been so dehydrated, So it took me very short a time to realize that, okay, I have to set boundaries, As much as I want to have some fun, I can't do that as, the same as my friends. So I did explain to some of them. Some of them were not so kind about it, because every time they invited me out, I would give one excuse after the other, And, I had a few people tell me that, oh, come on, you always come up with something. Come on, just live your life. But as much as I wanted to live my life, I had challenges, I couldn't do as much as I wanted to. Yeah, so I just had to step back a bit. And this is something that you have to identify very quickly. It's exciting, going out and having all the good social life with everyone else. But you have to remember that you're not the same as everyone else. When you are in so much pain, unfortunately, you'll be alone suffering in that pain. So it didn't take me long to realize that. So, yeah. So, I was going to college, every day. Every day I was going to college. After some time, it was, ever so often 3 times a week and things like that. So I really enjoyed my time at college. I The teachers were so nice, the administration was so nice, you know, but I was missing on classes quite a lot because I was getting really sick, you know, and for some reason I wasn't comfortable telling the teachers my situation, you see. I mean, back in Cameroon, there wasn't much that could be done in terms of support in education. So I, for some reason, I thought that it was the same thing, and I didn't see the point of me telling them. I didn't see what difference it was going to make. You know, unfortunately, I had not found that friend that I could stick to for support, you know, when it comes to missing lectures and things like that. So it was only a matter of time before they asked to have a meeting with me, because I'd missed so much in my schoolwork. And obviously, I'm in the UK on a visa. I have to report to the Home Office, you know, if I'm not attending classes, you know, this is not good for my visa renewal. So I was called into the principal's office, you know, the head of department at that time, and said, you know, they're not happy with my record. You know, I've been absenting quite a lot. And I told them that, unfortunately, I have been sick quite a lot since I came to the UK. I have been going into hospital a number of times, and they wanted to know more. They wanted to understand why I was always in hospital. So I explained to them my situation with sickle cell. And thankfully, they knew about sickle cell, and they were not happy that I had not told them about this, you see. I mean, I didn't know I had to tell them. I didn't know. So after that, you know, they put mechanisms in place for me, and, you know, they supported me throughout my time in college, and it was just so amazing. It was just so amazing. So, hey, don't ever hold back. You know, luckily, I came to a place where there was a system in place for people like myself. And you will find this most of Europe and America, I'm sure, you know. There's that support for people that have, you know, challenges like myself. So with everything put in place, I managed to finish college, and, you know, life in London was a very fast-paced one, and it took me a while to get used to. You see, I had to find a job even though I was at college. I had to sustain myself, you know, as a student, and, you know, it took me a while to get used to the lifestyle of, you know, being independent and living on my own. So, you know, I figured out quite quickly that I had to start working and making money. So I attended a few interviews, and, you know, I was always being turned down. But luckily, I found a job. I registered in a local agency where, you know, I was sent to work in a fruit factory. And unfortunately, that job only lasted 2 days, because I had to work in very cold environment, and working with fruits, I had to be putting my hands a lot in cold water. So the second day, I ended up in hospital with a crisis, and they phoned me the next morning. I couldn't go to work, and they just called me that afternoon and said, "Don't bother, you know, this is how we do it. Yeah, if you don't turn up, just forget it." So I started looking for work again, found another one about the week after that, and this was in a factory, an agency in Greenwich, South London, and they sent me to a steel factory somewhere in South London. I can't remember where. And boy, this was difficult. I mean, I managed to last a week, you know. In this factory, we had to assemble some steel that was coming out from like a fire, you know. We had to wear some really thick gloves, so we had to assemble them as they were coming out. And I managed, because I really wanted a job. I couldn't find anything else. So I managed to last a week, and I mean, after a week, yeah, same old story. I got really sick, and I stayed in hospital for a very long time this time around. I think I had pushed myself too much. So after that, I just gave up, and I thought, you know, I can't do this. And luckily, my family started supporting me. My brother was in Germany, and my sister was in Germany as well, and they started sending me money. So it sustained me for some time while I tried to figure out what I was going to do next. So about a year or so later, a friend of mine took me to a church in South London, and this church became my home. They became my family, and they embraced me, and I felt comfortable, with these people, and they understood my situation, and I was comfortable in explaining to them some of the challenges that I was facing as an immigrant, and someone who suffers with a medical condition. And there was this fine gentleman who was the leader of the church, Bishop Joel Oluwafemi. He took me in as his own. They took me in as part of the family, and they supported me in every way I could think of. They helped me secure a job as a GP receptionist at the local health center, where I worked for several years until I moved to the Midlands. And I can't finish this without mentioning that his wife, especially, I call her Auntie Essie Oluwafemi, she took me in as her own, as her daughter. She supported me in every way you can think of. I was going through some really, really difficult times in London, and I would call her at very odd hours of the night, and she would come. I remember the many times I had to phone her, at very odd hours. And within a few hours, she will be at my door, finding ways to get me out of my situation. And I think I am the woman that I am today because of her. She taught me to be a respectable Christian woman, and I am ever so grateful for meeting these people, for being introduced to them. And of course, they're still family up till this day. And, I can't really thank God enough for introducing me to this family, because, life in London was quite challenging. And thankfully, God sent me to the right people to help look after me. And, when I moved to the Midlands, the rest is history. But we will be talking more about, my life in the UK, and there's more interesting stuff to come. So thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and share, and also don't forget to comment. Thank you for watching again.